I will speak as one who has journeyed with Kenya and who wishes this country well.
There are men who lived beyond victory, and others they lived beyond defeat. Men whose names are whispered in the winds of struggle and carved on the stones of sacrifice. And for Raila Amollo Odinga, the son of a nation's dream, the echo of a father's fight, and the final flame of Kenya's long pursuit of democracy. This is Raila's history.
Tulimjua kwa majina tofauti. Agwambo, Jacob, Tinga. Lakini kama Wakenya kutoka kona zote tulimjua na tukamheshimu kama baba.
Raila Amollo Odinga was one of Kenya's most influential and enduring political figures. Despite 5 unsuccessful presidential bids across 4 decades of restless ambition. For years, the firebrand politician stood as a defender of multi-party democracy, adored by near fanatical supporters, and vilified by the threatened political elite he often challenged. Fondly known as Baba, meaning father, the veteran opposition leader died on the morning of Wednesday, October 16, 2025. He was aged 80 in New Delhi, India. This is where he had been receiving treatment for an undisclosed illness. Raila's death marks the end of an era, the silence of a voice that roared for half a century. A towering Pan-Africanist whose death leaves a profound void in Kenya's opposition as the nation ages toward the 2027 general elections. Although Odinga hailed from one of most Kenya's storied political families, the presidential crown forever eluded him, just as it had eluded his father Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, Kenya's first vice president after independence from Britain in 1963. In August 2022, Raila made his 5th and final attempt at the presidency, having come closest in 2008 when he was appointed prime minister in a grand coalition government. This was following Kenya's bloodiest post-election crisis. And early this year, in February 2025, Raila suffered yet another political heartbreak, losing the race to lead the African Union Commission to Djibouti's Foreign Affairs Minister Mohamed Ali Yusuf. Yet despite this defeat, Odinga remained a political force of gravity, so commanding that no president in Kenya could govern comfortably without reckoning with his influence. In mid-2024, President William Ruto extended an olive branch, a political truce that saw 4 ODM loyalists appointed into cabinet positions. The deal was branded as a broad-based government, though critics saw it as a Ruto's calculated attempt to steady his crumbling base amid public outrage over rising taxes and economic hardship. Young Kenyans, the fiery heart of last year's 2024 Gen Z protests accused Odinga of betrayal, of sleeping with the enemy. But in his defense, Baba said he had only donated experts to save the nation.
Since the ODM and the UDA signed an MOU that not only preserve the nation, but also set out a broad agenda for the creation of a people-centered, proactive, inclusive, and pragmatic service delivery. The review also comes at a trying time for the country, emerging for those demanding better services and more say in government. The ferment is also driven by those who feel they have to be in power. Both categories are citizens of Kenya. They deserve a hearing. It is my hope that this policy and performance review could lead to a better understanding and ownership of the government by the people.
Raila alikuwa namna hiyo. When you are a leader, you must support your people.
Beyond politics, Raila was a man of simple joys. An avid dancer of fun, a love of reggae, and a slow-motion dancer whose swaying steps to Lucky Dube and Bob Marley became folklore. The Raila dance. He belonged to the Luo ethnic group, Kenya's fourth largest, a people of song, water, and resilience. To his followers, Raila was a Gwambo, the act of God, and Tinga, the tractor, a name born from his party's 1997 symbol. When he chose Mother Karua, the Iron Lady, as his running mate in 2022, history was made. It was the first time a major presidential contender had named a woman as a deputy president.
It is not every day that I would be standing here to say something to the nation and to the world about my dear husband, Raila Amollo Odinga.
Kwa hivyo yeye kwenda ameenda na wengi. Ni kama ile maji ya mtu ambaye imetoka mtoni inabeba takataka yote. Iko shida bwana mbele. Shida kubwa. Kwa hivyo ukiona watu wanalia, shida iko mbele.
And what we are seeing is that the construction of the gravesite has really advanced at this point in time. You recall that yesterday there were still the challenges of digging.
Mheshimiwa Raila Amollo Odinga alipenda nchi yake Kenya kuliko kitu kingine chochote. Mheshimiwa Raila Amollo Odinga alikuwa baba wa wote, hakuwa na ukabila na alipenda nchi na wananchi wa Kenya wote.
Ni kiongozi mwenye tajriba katika ulingo wa siasa. Mwanasiasa ambaye amekuwa na ujasiri wa kuikabili siasa ya Kenya.
Raila's story was deeply intertwined with that of his father Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, a principled socialist who clashed with Jomo Kenyatta in 1996 and walked out of government and spent 18 months in prison for his ideals. While Jaramogi leaned toward the Soviet bloc, Kenyatta turned west. The ideological chasm defined Kenya's early political architecture: East versus West, socialism versus capitalism. And like his father, Raila too will taste imprisonment twice under President Daniel Arap Moi, making him Kenya's longest-serving political detainee. His first detention was 1982 and 1988. It came after accusations of aiding an attempted coup by the Air Force, and his second detention, 1989 to 1991, for agitating for plural democracy. Yet every cell, every beating, every down of despair, it only sharpened his will. When multi-party democracy was restored in 1992, Odinga rose from the ashes, contesting the presidency 5 times: in 1997, 2007, 2013, 2017, and 2022. Each defeat steeped in controversy, each loss greeted with protests, each return marked by the rebirth.
Hapo ndio kukawa sasa kuna shida na kukawa na ile majaribio ya kupindua serikali na kikosi cha wanahewa Na sisi vile vile tukashikwa, na mimi na wenzangu tukashtakiwa kwa kupanga majaribio ya kupindua serikali, lakini walikuwa hawana ushahidi. Baada ya kuwekwa rimandi kule kamiti kwa miezi 6, wakalazimishwa kuondoa hiyo shtaka. Kwa hivyo nataka ijulikane kwamba serikali yenyewe ili withdraw hiyo shtaka. Wakati mama alipoaga, ndugu wangu mkubwa Dr. Uhuru alinitumia mimi telegram, akauliza serikali iniruhusu niweze kwenda kuzika mama yangu. Hiyo telegram ilichukua miezi 3 kabla hawajanipatia. Torture chambers ambazo zimejengwa, kuweka watu huko ndani, Nyayo House. Nimekaa huko usiku 10 nikipigwa, nikiwekwa kwa maji na yale yote.
The 2007 election remains the most infamous, a contest that drowned the country in blood. More than 1,200 people were killed and over 60,000 displaced after Odinga accused President Mwai Kibaki of rigging the vote. And following mediation by the former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan, Odinga agreed to serve as Prime Minister in the Grand Coalition government from April 2008 to April 2013, a partnership poisoned by supremacy wars. And in August 2017, history repeated itself. Odinga lost to Uhuru Kenyatta and went to court and won. The Supreme Court nullified the election, citing massive irregularities, a first in Africa's history. Yet, when the rerun came, Odinga boycotted, citing state interference. In January 2018, Raila declared himself the people's president at Uhuru Park, a symbolic defiance that shook the republic. Then in March 2018, it came the unthinkable, the handshake. Raila and Uhuru, once bitter rivals, stood together smiling. For some, it was peace, and for others, a total betrayal.
Kama Raila angekuwa ni mtu wa kununuliwa, he would be one of the biggest millionaires in this country. But because he stood by his word, he was never corrupt, na amekufa as a clean person, kwa maana hakukula mali ya watu.
Beyond Kenya's borders, Raila Odinga stood tall as a Pan-African visionary. Appointed the African Union High Representative for Infrastructure Development 2018 to 2023, he preached integration through roads and rails. In 2010, the EU appointed Raila to mediate the Ivory Coast political crisis, but his mission collapsed when Laurent Gbagbo rejected him as biased.
Na mimi nikatoka mpaka nikaenda mpaka Kampala. Na kutoka kule Kampala nikafanya mpango na nikaenda huko Norway.
Tukitaka kuimarisha chama cha KANU, lazima tuangalie kwamba tunasafisha. Na kusafisha sio kusema kusafisha na kuna fault ndani yake, ili tuone hawa walio katika siasa, wale walio watumishi wa serikali, tuondoe ile section ya katiba ya Kenya ya 2A.
Back at home, Odinga remained the people's man, seen walking in Karen, jogging in Siaya, or chatting with villagers under mango trees. Born January 7, 1945 in Maseno, Kisumu County, Raila studied in East Germany, earning a master's degree in mechanical engineering in 1970 from the Technical University of Magdeburg. He married Ida Betty Odinga in 1973 and together they raised 4 children: Fidel, Rosemary, Raila Jr. and Winnie. His eldest son, Fidel, named after Fidel Castro, he reflected his admiration for revolutionary courage during the Cold War, a symbolic salute to resistance against imperial dominion. Though critical of US foreign policy, Raila Odinga always upheld the principles of Western democracy, free speech, elections, and the sanctity of opposition.
Napendekeza Mheshimiwa Raila Amollo Odinga awe katibu mkuu. Mheshimiwa Raila Amollo Odinga alipenda nchi yake Kenya kuliko kitu kingine chochote. Mheshimiwa Raila Amollo Odinga alikuwa baba wa wote, hakuwa na ukabila na alipenda nchi na wananchi wa Kenya wote. Kenya imepoteza kiongozi ambaye historia ya demokrasia katika taifa letu la Kenya haiwezi iandikwe bila la jina la Raila Amollo Odinga kuwa nambari moja.
I will speak as one who has journeyed with Kenya and who wishes this country well. I believe strongly that no matter our disagreements, our visions and disappointments, we have to have a country first.
In the grand mosaic of Kenya's story, Raila Odinga remains a colossus, a man who never wore the presidential crown, yet he ruled the hearts of millions, a builder of bridges, a student of struggle, and perhaps Kenya's greatest president who never was. The candle has burned out, but the light of our Gwambo will dance forever in the wind of freedom. This is the Red Mic.
Kana jirani ananyolewa tia maji. Nimevipiga vita vilivyo vizuri, wendo nimeumaliza, imani nimeilinda, wendo nimeumaliza, imani nimeilinda, wendo nimeumaliza, imani nimeilinda, wendo nimeumaliza, imani nimeilinda, nimevipiga vita, nimevipiga vita vilivyo vizuri, nimevipiga vita, nimevipiga vita vilivyo vizuri, wendo nimeumaliza, imani nimeilinda, wendo nimeumaliza, imani nimeilinda, wendo nimeumaliza, imani nimeilinda, wendo nimeumaliza, imani nimeilinda.
Acha tu kidogo ni msikivu.
What a friend, what a friend.